This presentation provides an overview of the Kunming-Montreal Biodiversity Framework, KMBF. The KMBF builds on the UN Convention on Biological Diversity, CBD, and adds qualitative and quantitative targets for improvements in biodiversity and ecosystem services by 2030. The IPBES Nexus Assessment explicitly identifies, describes, and recommends Nexus response options to promote achievement of linked KMBF targets. The presentation describes social, cultural, and economic values associated with biodiversity and ecosystem services, decline trends in biodiversity and ecosystem services since 1970, the 23 KMBF targets, the link between the KMBF targets and the IPBES Nexus response options. Civil Nexus is a platform for individuals and teams working on appropriate civil society responses to polycrisis. It promotes capabilities for autonomy and self-reliance of polycrisis response initiatives within a supportive, like-minded community of civil society organisations. It provides tools for people to act, not just out of fear of our uncertain common future, but for concern at what we have lost and hope that we might ease the coming societal transitions. You're looking at a configured version of the Sparks Enterprise Architect, Sparks EA, GUI interface for desktop and internet collaboration. Sparks EA maintains a linked and consistent database reflecting concise and precise diagrams of elements and linkages for model-based systems engineering, MBSE. Sparks EA is a comprehensive tool for iterative consultation, capability building, planning, development, delivery, operation, and review of systems and initiatives. Integrating capability building presentations material directly into the Civil Nexus GUI and platform minimises presentation work duplication. Materials in this presentation from public reports are published under the Creative Commons licensing terms of those reports. Model-derived diagrams and underlying model are copyright Civil Nexus. Marine ecosystems provide benefits to global society, culture, and economy. Marine ecosystem services value to humans is on the order of tens of trillions of US dollars per year, dwarfing aggregate global GNP. Reefs, wetlands, and mangroves in particular have very high per hectare values. Benefits from the sea include provisioning of the raw materials of a habitable planet and thriving societies, supporting and maintaining the cycling of the inputs and byproducts of human societies, providing the foundations of human culture, recreation, and well-being. Without the cocoon of marine and terrestrial nature's contributions to people, human societies, cultures, and economies cannot endure. And this is the strongest argument for urgent and major multilateral action to preserve and restore biodiversity and ecosystems globally. The global economic value of land ecosystem services is on the order of tens of trillions of US dollars a year, with very high per hectare values for intact forests. There is consistent evidence that natural capital stocks and annual ecosystem services cash flows are declining in many regions due to land use change, climate change, and over-exploitation. Empirical and theoretical work strongly supports claims that ongoing terrestrial biodiversity and ecosystem services losses undermine long-term economic prosperity and the flourishing of both people and nature by eroding critical, regulating and provisioning services and forcing costly, imperfect human substitutes. A substantial proportion of assessed species are threatened with extinction, and overall trends are deteriorating, with extinction rates increasing sharply in the past century. Figure A shows the percentage of species threatened with extinction in taxonomic groups that have been assessed comprehensively, or through a sampled approach, or for which selected subsets have been assessed by the International Union for the Conservation of Nature, IUCN, Red List of Threatened Species. Groups are ordered according to the best estimate for the percentage of extant species considered threatened, which is shown by the vertical blue lines, assuming that data deficient species are as threatened as non-data deficient species. Figure B shows extinction since 1500 for vertebrate groups. Rates for reptiles and fishes have not been assessed for all species. Figure C shows Red List Index of species survival for taxonomic groups that have been assessed for the IUCN Red List at least twice. A value of 1 is equivalent to all species having been categorised as least concern. A value of 0 is equivalent to all species being classified as extinct. Global trends in the capacity of nature to sustain contributions to good quality of life from 1970 to the present show a decline of 14 of the 18 categories of nature's contributions to people which were analysed. Data supporting global trends and regional variations come from a systematic review of over 2,000 studies. Indicators were selected on the basis of the availability of global data, prior use and assessments, and alignment with 18 categories. For many categories of nature's contributions, 2 indicators are included that show different aspects of nature's capacity to contribute to human well-being within that category. Indicators are defined so that an increase in an indicator is indicated as associated with the improvement in nature's contributions. The Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework has 23 action-oriented global targets for urgent action over the decade to 2030. Actions to reach these targets should be implemented consistently and in harmony with the Convention on Biological Diversity and its protocols, and other relevant international obligations, taking into account national circumstances, priorities, and socio-economic conditions. The first 8 of 23 KMBF goals aim to reduce threats to biodiversity. Target 1. Plan and manage all areas to reduce biodiversity loss. Target 2. Restore 30% of all degraded ecosystems. Target 3. Conserve 30% of land, waters and seas. Target 4. Halt species extinction, protect genetic diversity, and manage human-wildlife conflicts. Target 5. Ensure sustainable, safe and legal harvesting and trade of wild species. Target 6. Reduce the introduction of invasive alien species by 50% and minimise their impact. Target 7. Reduce pollution to levels that are not harmful to biodiversity. Target 8. Minimise the impacts of climate change on biodiversity and build resilience. The next 5 of 23 KMBF goals aim to meet people's needs through sustainable use and benefit sharing. Target 9. Manage wild species sustainably to benefit people. Target 10. Enhance biodiversity and sustainability in agriculture, aquaculture, fisheries and forestry. Target 11. Restore, maintain and enhance nature's contributions to people. Target 12. Enhance green spaces and urban planning for human well-being and biodiversity. Target 13. Increase the sharing of benefits from genetic resources, digital sequence information and traditional knowledge. The last 10 of 23 KMBF goals aims to provide tools and solutions for implementation and mainstreaming of biodiversity conservation. Target 14. Integrate biodiversity in decision-making at every level. Target 15. Businesses assess, disclose and reduce biodiversity-related risks and negative impacts. Target 16. Enable sustainable consumption choices to reduce waste and overconsumption. Target 17. Strengthen biosafety and distribute the benefits of biotechnology. Target 18. Reduce harmful incentives by at least $500 billion per year and scale up positive incentives for biodiversity. Target 19, mobilize $200 billion US per year for biodiversity from all sources, including $30 billion through international finance. Target 20, strengthen capacity building, technology transfer, and scientific and technical cooperation for biodiversity. Target 21, ensure that knowledge is available and accessible to guide biodiversity action. Target 22, ensure participation in decision-making and access to justice and information related to biodiversity for all. Target 23, ensure gender equality and a gender-responsive approach to biodiversity action. IPBES frames response options as policies and actions that address direct and indirect drivers of biodiversity loss and secure nature's contributions to people. Response options operate best within a co-produced multi-knowledge system conceptual framework. Biodiversity response options span conservation, restoration, sustainable use, spatial planning, demand-side measures, for example, diet and waste, and transformative governance. Adaptive governance frameworks are implemented from local to global levels by governments, Indigenous peoples, local communities, cities, private sector, and civil society organisations. Response options are intended to support and be assessed against major international objectives: the Paris Agreement, the Kunming-Montreal Biodiversity Framework, and the Sustainable Development Goals. We can see that the biodiversity response options are linked in the traceability panel in the bottom left corner to targets from KMBF, SDG, and the Paris Agreement. The response options are area-based conservation, urban nature-based solutions, agroecology, ecosystem-based adaptation in rural landscapes, forest landscape restoration, restoration of coastal and marine systems, restoration of inland water systems, rewilding, integrated landscape and seascape approaches, rights-based approaches, multilateral environment agreements, land and sea planning, natural capital accounting, and reconnecting people with nature. If you found the presentation interesting and enjoyable, comment and like the presentation and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate constructive comments and suggestions. What are we doing right? What should we do better or more? What should we change or do less? You'll find new presentations in different aspects of the Civil Nexus platform as they are posted. If you're interested in exploring the Civil Nexus platform, contact us via the comments to request access to a personal use read-only copy of the repository that you can virus scan and browse on your desktop. You'll need to visit the Spark Systems website to download and install the free Spark Systems EA Reader to access the models. If you're interested in collaborating on the platform for initiatives to address polycrisis, contact us via the comments to request edit permissions and access. We're interested to make your polycrisis mitigation initiatives of civil society groups visible to others. We can facilitate video conferences to help you document and link your initiatives and stakeholders in the Civil Nexus platform. We can provide basic written advice on configuring software, system, and platform connections. The platform tools are mostly free and open source software, or FOSS, suitable for Windows and Linux computers. But the editing-enabled versions of Spark's Enterprise Architect are a commercial product with a range of pricing and capability options. Even if you're not interested in Civil Nexus, get involved with civil society organisations interested in big picture solutions to polycrisis mitigation and adaptation. Continue hoping that BAU multilateral coordination will provide adaptation for polycrisis. Multilateralism is opposed by autocrats, well-funded private industry groups, and their captured legislators, regulators, and jurists. Progress on achieving required outcomes needs to happen 5 times faster than current rates to avoid the deepest societal collapses.